This morning for our greetings from the Garden State segment with Mike Ham, I thought we would do something a little bit different. So, Mike, I have for you today 5 questions with Mike Ham. Are you ready?
I'm ready. That sounds cool. Very straightforward. I can handle this.
Actually, that's 6 questions now because I just asked you one, but never mind.
Oh boy.
All right,
We're already off the rails.
you come from a sports background. When did the idea of doing a podcast about New Jersey pop into your head?
Well, podcasts, specifically podcasts, I started doing that during 2020, along with, probably thousands of other people that got into the podcast medium. But that was originally for my full-time job, which was selling title insurance. So I couldn't go out for lunch, couldn't go out for drinks, couldn't go to events. Like that was what my whole job was. And so I started a podcast and it did really well. Over time, I started doing some different things, kind of getting out of my home studio because restrictions started lifting and whatever. And I just kind of like fell in love with doing interviews face to face. And, eventually got myself to a point where I was like, I need to do a show, but I have no money for like studio time or anything like that. But I wanted to do in-person interviews. And what better way than just kind of like get a little setup, get in the car, and then just go meet people where they're at. And that's kind of how that all started. It was really very simple, organic, and now we're almost it's crazy to think like October 18th, 2021 was when we launched the show. That was the first day, our first 3 episodes. So in just a little over 2 months from now, it'll be 4 years running this show, which is crazy. But it's been cool to watch develop.
You have done stories that have covered the gamut of different things, whether it is sports, New Jersey history, New Jersey personalities, pop culture, what have you. What's been your favorite story so far to cover?
That's like picking between my dogs. It's Duck, honestly. But don't tell the other one. My favorite ones, my favorite one. Wow. Okay. I've done a lot of really cool things. I've interviewed a lot of really cool people, and this is in no way trying to disparage anybody else. I think honestly, one of my favorites and a relationship that's kind of continued to give has been my interview with Mark and Mark from Weird New Jersey. They are like the OG content creators here in the state. They've been doing it for forever. They're still doing it. They're still going to all these crazy places around Jersey, checking them out, writing stories about them. And we recorded that one at the Great Notch Inn, which is one of my all-time favorite places. That was another great episode as well with Rich from the Great Notch Inn. But we recorded it there. That's how I kind of got into that community as well. And then we've since done some other stuff, on some other platforms with Mark and Mark, and they've been such great like friends and partners and just kind of like sounding boards and just good people. That's really what it comes down to. Like all the people that we've had on, for the most part, have been really good people. But like, I mean, you start going down the list, like Eric LeGrand, Ruts Hut, the Battleship New Jersey, Governor Murphy, even, like all these ones were just like Ken Danico, like people that I never, at one point in my life, I was like, I sell title insurance. Like I have no business being friends with someone that's been on Top Chef or in the Olympics or on Survivor or whatever. But now here we are and we've done all those cool things and I consider a lot of them friends. So I think if I really had to dial it in to like out of 200 episodes to pick one, I might say Mark and Mark from Weird New Jersey.
What do you think the biggest misconception that people outside of New Jersey have about this state?
I think honestly, it is like the way the state looks. Like I think people talk all the time about how when people fly into Newark, let's say, and they get on, the turnpike there, and it just looks terrible. Like it is not the best representation of how beautiful our state is. But then you drive out to like, Hunterdon County, Sussex County. You go down into like Cumberland, Salem counties, and all the farms down there. Obviously, the shore speaks for itself. I think people lose sight of that, and that's mostly because like they never see it. They just think that we're just kind of like an oil refinery state that just like does, I don't know, like we're all polluted, which we probably are, but us personally are polluted, and that we're like mean and nasty and whatever. And some of that for sure is true. But I do think that if you don't know, like what you don't know, like it's a lot of stuff. It's so deep, so cultural, so historic, so everything. And I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions about Jersey.
You bring up the refineries. I remember as a kid, we were visiting some family on Long Island, and one of my cousin's friends asked me where I was from, and he said New Jersey. And he said, "Oh, pretty smelly ride over here, wasn't it?"
Yeah, driving through Long Island, you
Well,
jerk.
he meant the refineries. Let me turn the question around a little bit. What do you think the biggest misconception that we who live here in New Jersey have about our own state?
Oh, wow. Ooh, I don't think I've ever even really thought about that.
That's why I come up with these tough questions, Mike.
Yeah, and I'm not prepared at all.
That was the idea.
What we think is the biggest misconception. Wow. I think the stuff that I'm going to say, like I also don't like, so I'm not going to say anything like that. Um, I do think that I think people that are here that have been here for a long time, I do think that there's a sense of pride from being from New Jersey, but I do think there are moments where we kind of dump on where we live, and I think that, whether it's taxes or traffic or congestion or density and all these things, and while those are all issues that I do think cause friction at times and cause us to like maybe look down upon, where we live. Um, there are elements. I'm not going to say you shouldn't worry about those things. There are elements of those things, which is what makes us so unique and such an interesting place to live, that I do think that there is some room for like, kind of like instead of white knuckling every issue that you possibly can, like take the foot off the gas a little bit and just kind of like maybe look at the silver lining of some of these refinery clouds that we have rolling around us. I think like that could be a good way to just kind of like appreciate where you are, because when you do go other places, while there are other places that are awesome and fun to visit and whatever, to live there full time, I don't know. I mean, I think just like the rhythm that you have as somebody from here, I think is hard to match and just doesn't exist other places. So if you do want to leave, we'll miss you, but don't let the door hit you in the butt when you on the way out. But I
There's a
think you will
Jersey
miss,
attitude for you. I
yeah.
love
But
it.
I think you will miss that like tempo, like the tempo of. I remember like when I was coaching. I know this we're probably gonna go over time on this story, but I was coaching and I worked at a baseball camp at Stanford University out in Palo Alto, and I was like it was early. I had to be at a field early to like hit fly balls for like 3 hours. And I said, I just need a cup of coffee. So I went into a coffee shop. I'm ready to like, somebody just basically throw a black coffee at my head as I walk into the door. And the guy at the front of the line, and granted, this is Palo Alto, so it is a little different in and of itself, was asking about the beans and where they were from and how like coarse ground they were. And I'm in the back of the line and I am losing my mind because I'm late and I have all these people in front of me. I'm like, just order the coffee, like black back here, just pick me. So yeah, the tempo is something I think you'll miss if you leave.
My last question for you, and I think you may have already answered this question. Favorite place here in New Jersey to hang out?
Cool. I'm gonna give you just like a real fast couple. Asbury Park is our shore spot. We're getting married
Hmm.
there in October. It's a big part of our lives, and we love it there. We love the people there. We love everything about the town. But locally, the Great Notch Inn is probably my favorite spot. And there's again so many others. There's so many great businesses, so many great spots. But just like I don't know, there's something about being at the Notch on like a Friday or Saturday night. The parking lot's full of motorcycles. I don't ride a motorcycle, but somehow I like fit into that community. And it's just like it's awesome. There's live music. There's good people. So I think I would say the Great Notch Inn.
I kind of thought you might go there. That's why I said, you may have already answered the question.
Yep.
You can check all things about New Jersey out on a regular basis on greetingsfromthegarden state.com. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Jim.